Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and we're chatting in cars. This is a podcast where I talk about random topics usually pulled out of a box or a bag or off the top of my head that I thought up first thing in the morning. It has a disclaimer at the start of the podcast because I do talk about swearing. I talk about sensitive topics and I do swear a lot. Right now I'm trying to remove myself from a parking lot, so you might hear a bit of beeping and screaming. It's the second podcast I'm doing today. I'm a bit over it already. If you don't want to hear about sensitive topics, it's absolutely okay. Nobody wants to be, well, not everyone wants to have that traumatic experience. I don't like reliving it myself, but you know, sometimes we don't get a choice. So, the topic for today is releasing baggage, which is interesting. I haven't completely got a grasp of releasing baggage. I, being myself, do tend to hold grudges a little bit. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but if people hurt me, I tend to hold on to it. I don't know why. It's mainly because I know how unjustified it is hurting someone. So you can't actually, and they say hurt people, but at the same time, I'm like, you got no reason to carry that shit on, dude. It's like, come on. So I get a bit pissy when people actively go out of the way to seemingly be assholes. I mean, what do you have to gain out of it, really, being an asshole? There's nothing to gain from it. People look at you like you're an asshole. No one wants to hang around you, and generally, you know, why bother? When you come to releasing baggage as well, it's not just, you know, people being assholes to you. It's actually things like trauma and stuff like that. Now, I've got PTS. I know that for a fact because I've been diagnosed with it. Back when I had to separate from my ex-husband, I went into an interesting spiral mentally, and I ended up in the emergency room a couple of times. So that ended up me up in triage not in a mental institution. No, it was just women's counselling essentially. My doctor signed me up to it because she put me on a mental health plan, which is lovely if you can get it. It does help you sort of quite a bit of your shit out. For a start, I didn't even know I was autistic until, you know, someone actually diagnosed me and they started putting together dots and you go, oh, okay, that explains a lot. On top of that, I ended up with PTS, mild OCD, generalized social anxiety. And I had severe depression at the time, apparently. I'm sitting there going, I don't recognize any of this. But then again, I'm having massive panic attacks and nothing's making sense, you know, and I can't stop crying. So I don't know what's happening. And she just wheeled out this great big checklist of shit that was wrong with me, and I'm like, oh, okay, so what do I do about it? First of all, we're going to get you some counselling. Second of all, I want you to start doing these sort of things. And she gave out this whole list of things that was like, you know, try and do yoga, find a way to ground yourself. What else is there? You can medicate. I chose not to. I didn't want to. I'm more interested in the behavioural side of things than the chemical side of things. I didn't think it was anything that was that strong, although that is my humble opinion. I've only got a psych degree, so I need the actual full degree to have any real effect on that opinion. Honestly, I'm deferring to the psych when I talk about stuff like that. It's like I've got a taster for what it is I've got. I have not got the full degree and understanding, so I defer to them every time. But yeah, she's like, you should, you know, try and get to the gym, be more active, and try and work on your social things, try and find things that you could be interested in. They'll take your mind off it, if not release some stress. And the big thing for her was that she wanted me to find a way to sleep more, because she'd given me these diazepam, whatever they are, tablets for sleeping. I think I took one. I couldn't do it. I was freaking out about taking the damn tablets. I'm going, what if I don't wake up, sort of thing. It's like, what the fuck? I've never taken anything that strong in my life. I don't even take Panadol. So she's like, oh, it's okay, just take 2, you'll be fine. I was like, I'll take 1. And then no. I tried 1 and I'm like, nah, I don't want this. So I found, I ended up in, you know, like Swiss Ultivite does a purple container which is relax and sleep. I ended up taking one of those in the morning and one of those at night, and it sort of levels me out, which I find. Possibly not as strong as diazepam or whatever the fuck that was. I was not happy with that, because she did sort of up front give me this 2 tablets and say, take this, and then we'll keep going. It's like, no, I don't want to medicate as soon as possible. I want to sort things out in my head. I'd rather do things you know, physically than chemically. Behavioral, I mean, I've got a background in behavioral analysis, so I'm sure you could do something with, you know, practices and behaviors and altering routines and things like that, what you can do that way rather than straight up medicating. So I went that way. So I signed up to the gym, and that helps me sort of level out my PTS and stuff like that, because I elevate myself and I de-elevate myself. So when I'm exposed to stimulus like high stress environments, I don't freak the fuck out. That's just one. I started doing yoga and Pilates and stuff like that, which also helped a lot. Releasing the baggage in itself emotionally is the hardest part, because the way I was raised, we don't show emotion. You know, it might just be because, you know, I come from a British background. I don't know. It could be because my parents, well, my mum particularly, sort of instilled this toughness in us. Even as girls, we weren't allowed to cry. No one was allowed to cry. No one was allowed to show emotion. My dad used to hit the fan every time we were laughing too loud or anything like that. So even my mum said that we're not allowed to show the negative ones. My dad said we're not allowed to show the positive ones. And he used to go ballistic about us making too much noise. And he's a berserker, so of course, well, both of them are. So of course we had this sort of, we weren't allowed to make any noise really. So it was tricky addressing your emotions. Like, you're excited, what do? Well, you keep it inside. Oh, you're sad, what do? Well, you definitely keep that one inside and definitely don't cry, because they'll give you something to cry about, right? That was their favorite phrase. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. They often did. So releasing the baggage that comes with that, I mean, the hardest part is going right to the root of the problem. Because at the moment, when you're stressed out and you've got panic attacks and you're crying all the time and you're losing your shit, the only thing you're seeing is the symptoms. You're not actually going down to the root of the cause of the problem. Like, I never understood that, first of all, I already had the underlying predisposition of autism where I'm having trouble understanding what the fuck's going on in the first place. Throw on top 2 berserker parents, no money, you know, stressful environment with a lot of physical violence, and then throw on top, you know, an ex-husband that doesn't, you know, is a controlling, overt narc, and then your ex-boyfriend's a covert narc, and you just, and, you know, trying to get work and living in poverty yourself and being homeless and being in debt and all this extra shit. It's no wonder I fucking flipped out, to be honest. There was such a build up to it. I'm surprised I didn't flip out earlier, quite frankly. It took me up until 33 to finally reach a peak where I was having massive panic attacks and getting sent to hospital for these panic attacks, which I honestly thought I was dying, because I thought I was having a heart attack. And I went in twice and they did my blood and they did my ECG or whatever it is, echo, the heart pulse thing, where they stick an elastic band around your chest. And I couldn't understand why this was happening. I mean, that could have just been me. Or what it meant. I honestly thought they were going to open me up on the table. I'm sitting there going, none of this makes sense. Obviously, I'm having a heart attack. You're going to have to open me up on the table. I can see myself having open surgery before the end of the night's out. And I couldn't understand it. And then they just come back with the results and say, oh, by the way, you're just fine. You're having a panic attack. It's like, what? It's like, nothing's wrong with you. The fuck, there isn't. So it was crazy. I have real trouble releasing baggage. Even though I've sort of incorporated it into myself, I've internalized it so deep that it's now presenting subconsciously as panic attacks and things like that. It's the strangest thing. I mean, some people can honestly just let shit go. I'm jealous of them. I don't know what you're like, but yeah, it would be great to just be able to let go. I mean, we're not taught to release baggage. That's the thing. Even in the classroom, while I'm teaching kids resilience and things like that, we're not teaching them really how to let baggage go. The most we sort of say is, if someone hurts your feelings, just walk away. It's like, you just walk away. Yeah, but does it actually deal with what that experience has sort of implanted into your psyche or your emotions or your factual state? Not really. You're just going to walk away. Yeah, but you still feel like they're an asshole afterwards. So you're still internalizing this anger towards this experience or this sadness, and we're not actually confronting it. And that's how we're taught as kids to deal with that shit. I mean, it used to be like, if someone pissed you off, you beat the shit out of them. We're not allowed to do that anymore. We're not allowed to say, hit the bully back. We now say, oh, go and tell an adult, or, you know, just walk away. And if you can walk away, to be honest, some bullies will follow you. I used to get teased for being quite chubby at one point. When I was 12 and I was stealing food just to survive. I got quite big and I used to get shit from girls at school. But, you know, I turned anorexic after that, so swings and roundabouts, I guess. But I internalized all that and I hated the popular girls for that. I didn't get along with the popular girls, but they started getting pissed off with me as soon as I started developing anorexia, which I find to be a weird turnaround. But the baggage that goes with that, I have trouble with it still. I developed anorexia. So I'm in two minds when I see someone who's thin at this point. Like, I'm not talking about thin, I'm talking like skeletal thin. I'm sitting there going, I feel sorry for them first because I've been there, but I'm also angry that they're still perpetuating this kind of, even when they're like celebrities, when they're perpetuating the fashionable side of being skeletal thin, I'm going, this is fucking wrong, dude. I've been there and I know it's wrong. That's my one of my baggages. Knowing that it's wrong, knowing that there's a whole system that encourages it. And it says, oh, isn't it lovely? She's wearing this wonderful dress today. Oh, isn't she just wonderfully skinny? And I'm sitting there going, she is dying on her feet. And it's a he thing as well now. Oh, look, a puppy. Someone's got a King Charles Spaniel behind me. I want that puppy. It's so cute. Sorry, they're in a car. How do we get one? They're so floppy. So, you know, it's just a lot of baggage. And I remember moving in a house. And as I said this morning in the podcast, it's like I was so angry because my parents were not nurturers. They were, you know, my mum was militaristic. My dad was a berserker. My mum's approach to parenting was hazing, physical hazing, violent hazing. So I have a lot of baggage associated with that. I have trouble understanding why, firstly, she would have done it that way, because none of us kids were particularly bad. My brother was hyper, but that's it. The rest of us girls were pretty placid compared to him. And I'd have trouble understanding why she took it out on us, knowing that she was in shit circumstances, but knowing that you should be checking that shit at the door. Even now to this day, I have trouble with her when she says, well, I was doing the best I could with what we had. And I'm sitting there going, fucking no, because I have never hit a child in my life. You know, it's like, is it the best you were doing? Not really. You could have done better. Yeah, you could have done better. How many people use that excuse? It's like, oh, I came from a shit background. It's fine, I'm just going to take it out on you guys. It's like, no, find a better way. Oh, the hypocrisy, the hypocrisy. I expect you to do better. Why aren't you doing better? Oh. I'm doing what I can with what I have. It's like, that's not an excuse. So yeah, there's a lot of baggage going on. And I'm finding as I'm also dating people that there's a lot of baggage going on. We seem to be sort of, I don't know what the previous generations were like, but we're this current generation, there seems to be a lot of people that are just hurt people, that are hurting other people. I don't know if they've come from hurt backgrounds or they're just, you know, just generally nasty. I can't tell. But there's a lot of unhealed people that are inflicting themselves on other people and causing exponential growth in other unhealed people. I mean, think about it. If one horrible person dates a somewhat normal person, say if normal existed, and then hurts them, and then goes on to another one, and another one, and another one, then you've got like 4 or 5 people that you've hurt them, and they've scarred them and jaded them, and they're going to date other people. And it grows exponentially. So you've got a bunch of assholes floating around fucking it up for everyone. Because people don't want to stop and sit and deal with their baggage. It's hard to deal with your baggage though. You've got to be brave. You've got to be ready to admit that something went wrong. You've got to have some humility and admitting that something is wrong. Because nobody wants to admit they're wrong, because that's losing face, isn't it? And if you lose face, you lose self-esteem, and you might have just a shred of self-esteem left. So you've got to have the balls to actually turn around and say, something went tits up and I need to address it. That's the tricky part. The tricky part is admitting fault. Because it means you have to be an adult and you have to take accountability for your actions. Nobody really wants to be an adult. If we're upset, we want to hit someone, or we want to take on the base characteristics, our primal instincts, and just, you know, something upset me so I killed it. Or, I don't know. I don't know about you guys. Maybe I've just got anger issues. People cut me off in traffic. Of course I want to, you know, do stuff to their car, knife the tires. It's an instinct, of course, but as a civilized people, we need to start looking beyond that, right? I mean, we've been trying to condition ourselves for years out of, you know, literally throwing shit at each other. So, if you're into evolution. Yeah, I still maintain it is effective to throw shit at someone, but they'll look at you funny. Poo-poo. I will poo-poo that. Oh God, no. Oh, that's graphic. Anyway. So what do you do with your baggage? How can you release your baggage? It's always good to have social people. I'm not social, I'm an introvert. I like keeping to myself and basically in hermit mode with snacks and my bed. Or my couch bed. I have a couch bed. But people will get you out of your shell and they'll check you as well. They'll be able to tell you. Hopefully you need honest people around you, not sycophants, that will tell you when you're going, you know, out of control. You go, they'll check you. So you're acting a bit like, you know, too much at this point. Really? Yeah. But you need honest, kind people, not just people that are trying to tear you down. That's another thing. There's too many people trying to tear you down. That's horrible. Because you're trying to grow. Everybody's trying to grow at their own pace and go through their own life journeys and explore self and around them. And you got some dickhole who's got trauma who's trying to drag each other down. I'm proud of myself that I didn't tear people down around me. As far as I know, I actively looked at what happened and I said, I'm not doing that. I'm quite proud of that. Because I could have turned into a serial killer, I'm pretty sure. So that's probably not a good thing to admit on, you know, like a podcast. But, you know, if you can see it's wrong and you know that you don't want to pass that on, then why bother acting that way? Why copy them? It's giving you an example and a contrast as to what not to be. You know it hurts. You know it's going to hurt someone else if you do it to them, so don't do it. It's simple as that. You've got a bunch of people who are spiteful and petty that pass it on. This eye for an eye thing, I think, as well, is a bit tricky. Because on the one hand, you're like, this has happened to me, this must happen to you for it to be even. Yes, I understand that. But, yeah, it does leave everyone blind. So what the fuck are we going to do? On the other hand, if we don't, you know, get even, or even the odds out, then you've got one-sided people that have been hurt with no compensation, or very little chance of compensation. And I tell you what, no amount of money is going to make up for, you know, getting raped or something. That's something I don't understand. I was watching all the drama going down with Prince Andrew and that. I know, because I'm a monarchist. Well, I was while the Queen was alive. Now I'm questioning a lot of shit. I'm a monarchist still, but maybe not this royal family. I don't know. It seems to be a lot of divas and a lot of tension seekers, and they're all clawing at each other. It's just getting a bit boring. But when Prince Andrew got done for sexual assault with that girl, Gouffre or something her name is, she was quite happy taking the money. I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I'd be happy with that, because it's, you know, it's humiliation, it's pain, it's trauma, it's all kinds of things. You're essentially sold to a dirty old man. I don't think money would make up for it. I think maybe it should be repaid in like. I don't know. But I don't know. But in circumstances that are not so pleasing, you know? I don't know. Would it deter them from doing it again? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just, in that sense, eye for an eye might be a quote. I just don't think I could take pay for that. I think I'd be upset and it wouldn't compensate for it because you're still injured. Anyway, like when people apologize, I don't accept apologies. I don't. I know we're supposed to, and I know we're supposed to forgive, and that's the whole ethical side of things. But to me, an apology is just someone trying to alleviate their conscience. It's like, I feel bad. If I say sorry, maybe it will make me feel better. And at the same time, if it's a means to sort of save face, like it's humbling yourself to apologize, who's to say that they need to? Who's to say it's worth anything to them? It's like people use the word sorry. They also use the word I love you as well, or the phrase. Very scattery these days. It's like, oh, sorry. It's like, are you though? No. And that's one thing that sort of stuck with me, even from my childhood. It's like when people say sorry, it's like, you know when you're forced to say sorry to someone as a kid? Like you accidentally whack someone and say, all right, now say sorry. It's like, sorry. Do you mean it? No. I don't know. It's like because you're a kid and you just don't care, man. I just want to go lay down, face down in the sandpit again. For fuck's sake, sorry, I'm busy. Come on. Or maybe I was just mental as a kid. I don't know. Still mental. But it doesn't have any real weight because, you know, even if my ex-boyfriend or my ex-husband apologized to me for being unfaithful and stuff to me, it would have no weight because, you know, if you loved someone, like properly loved someone, you wouldn't have cheated in the first place. You would have taken their feelings into account. You would have understood your actions would have resulted in this kind of, you know, trauma and stuff, and you wouldn't do it in the first place. So sorry is not a thing for me. I mean, sorry is for if it was accident, like purely accident. You don't accidentally cheat on someone. You don't slip and land your dick in someone. You just don't. It's not something that happens by accident. It's premeditated. You've often picked a target, and you actually work the steps to get it done. That's not an accident. That's a plan. You know, I can't forgive infidelity or anything like that. Murder. It's premeditated. You know. It's like it started off with a thought, and the thought grew legs, and the legs fucked me over, and I don't like it. So yes, I do tend to hold a grudge about that kind of stuff. That is baggage I hold. It's like infidelity is unforgivable to me. I can't forgive people for that. And everyone's saying like, oh, they're just human. It's like, no, there's just human where you accidentally, you know, kick someone in the shins or something, or you accidentally whack someone and you say sorry and you're like, oh, it's okay. I know you didn't know I was there. And then there's, you know, actively going out of your way to fuck someone else behind your wife's back. You know, yeah, no, that's unforgivable. What you did was unforgivable. I don't forgive for that. And besides the fact that I expect more from adults, to be honest. You've come past the age of reason. You've passed it. And he was, you know, he was not good. He was well into it. We started dating at 17. So he knew me. He should have been attached to me by the time we were divorced, right? Emotionally attached in some kind of a way to not be unfaithful. But yeah. But to him, he never thought he was doing anything wrong. Because he's like, I'm not a monogamist, therefore I'm not cheating. It's like, well, you could have told me before we fucking started dating and got married. That's an idea. Or, you know, we're just changing the plan to suit your narrative. It gives you the shits. When I married, I thought I was marrying a monogamous, upstanding, maybe, guy, you know? And he wasn't that much of an arsehole. I also thought I was doing the right thing by marrying, to be honest. We've been together 10 years, so I thought I knew him. I thought I had enough love for him that it would make something and we could, you know, grow old together and shit like that. No, it's not enough. You need to be on the same moral compass, the same mindset, which is a pain in the ass because he obviously wasn't. It's annoying. It's a lot of baggage. So now I have trust issues, just to sum it up. I can't think why. Fascinating, isn't it? Why do you have trust issues? Oh, you know, abusive childhood, abusive teens, abusive marriage, abusive ex-boyfriend, living in poverty. Yeah, it's just general. Everyone I've come to rely on is pretty shit. So, you know, statistically speaking, if you've got a dick, you're pretty fucked. And I don't want you near me. So, why didn't you have a boyfriend? Oh, I had one, yeah. He's not monogamous either. Yeah. So, no. I have a bit of baggage, maybe. I'm sure there are worse off people. I'm trying not to look at it from such a negative standpoint, but you know, swings and roundabouts. I learned a few good things from these experiences. I learned my worth. I learned what I'm willing to tolerate, you know, and my time for exposure to these assholes is getting cut down gradually. It went from 16 years to, what, 2.5 on and off? So I'm guessing the next guy, you know, I date, I'll be able to tell within the first half hour whether he's an asshole or not, and just ditch him at the, you know, he'll be fine. It's great. We're making progress. Oh, it's fascinating. It is, and you don't know until you go to a psych what kind of baggage you've got as well. You get a hint of it. Maybe you do some questionnaires or something online or something. Facebook. You might see a few things popping up on your Facebook feed, going, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, it might be me." But until you actually get into the grassroots of it, you don't know what you've got or where you've got it from. And most of it, and I can guarantee you, at most, the most of it comes from childhood trauma. And there's always an abandonment issue in there, like always. And a mother or a father or both wound. There's the reoccurring themes to my counseling sessions. Like, you've got trauma. Really? I can't think how. I've been trying to encourage my siblings to go to counseling as well. But as soon as I told them I've been diagnosed with autism, they just shut down. I'm like, oh yeah, that explains a lot. Okay. It's like, yeah, so it turns out really I'm not antisocial. I'm just selectively social, and I don't understand what the fuck's going on half the time. So that was fun and enlightening. I also keep to myself as well. I like to keep things private. I don't, which is odd considering what I'm doing now. But I'm anonymous while I'm doing this, so it's okay. If anyone I actually came into contact with actually heard this, I'd probably die. But I tend to keep to myself. And that's the problem. When I keep to myself, I keep a lot of shit under wraps, a lot of other people's shit under wraps, which is not healthy. And that's how you end up like keeping secrets with dirty old granddads and stuff like that who touch themselves while you're sitting there having tea and stuff with them one-on-one. You know, it's like, it's that kind of shit that you probably should be telling an adult at the time. and you know, it's, yeah, so that's some baggage. You should probably tell someone. Although, you know, you've got like experiences where I actually did tell an adult, like when my cousin sexually assaulted me. And then they make it a pissing competition, or they brush it under the rug. So I probably shouldn't have told my mum that. So who do you go to, right? You want to release your baggage? It's like, find someone you can trust. If you've been raised in an environment with two assholes that are just unsupportive and don't want to protect you, and actually are the instigators who cause the abuse, probably don't go to them, right? I was giving her a chance to be the mother figure, and she just fucked it. So I'm like, okay, I think we can safely ditch you at this point, because this is, I know, pretty serious, and I don't think you're supportive in any way. So what do we do with these people? How do you forgive these people? I've yet to figure out how to forgive someone. I think there's a trick to it. There must be a trick to it. Some people are like, oh yeah, forgive them, forget. And I'm sitting there going, how do you forgive and forget someone who's raped you? Or assaulted you? Or abused you for 20 years? Or, you know, created an infidelity, or just cheated on you? You know, how do you forgive all that? I don't know. I don't entirely know what forgiveness feels like, to be honest. That's another thing. I don't know if that's the autism or not. So what would that feel like? And I've tried to figure it out, because I know we're supposed to be forgiving people, because there's this whole, they throw the word around like confetti. Forgive people, even if they wronged you, forgive them. I'm going, what does that feel like when you have forgiven someone, right? Because I do let shit slide, I let it go, but then I remember shit that happened, and it makes me angry again. That's where my grudges come from, because I remember shit. Like, I've still got dreams about my dad going in full berserker mode, PTS dreams, and I wake up screaming, and then I get angry again, because there's still residual effect from his shitty behavior. So what do you do with that? It's like, how do you forgive someone for that? I don't know. I'd love to know. If anyone's got any insight, I'd love to know. All I know is that I can never trust that man. There's something new. I know, like, creating boundaries as well these days is a new thing to me, because I let people, in the past I just let people run over me. I had such low self-esteem that I was a people pleaser, and if they were happy, I was happy, right? It's like, you just want people to be happy, because if they're in a good mood, no one's throwing things or shouting at you or hitting you. So of course you want people to be happy. It's been an extreme way to view it. I'm sure there are other people pleasers that didn't turn people pleaser from the result of physical violence, but you know, maybe it was guilt. I don't know. My mom only used guilt in the later days. She's only trying to use it now. It doesn't work though. I have no conscience towards it, to be honest, given the background we've got. I find her more of an annoyance these days, which is horrible, because she's meant to be my mum, man. She's meant to be like my woman figure in my life. she's my go-to, or meant to be my go-to. Right now, I've got nothing. I'm looking at other people, like outside the family, as role models. Like, I had the Queen as a role model for fucking years. I'm going, I fucking love a Queen. It's like, I want to be just like her. But that's because my mother figure, my original first-hand female role model, was such an aggressively abusive, horrible person. And even to this day, I feel bad about bringing her shit up to her face, to confront her with it and ask her, why did you do it? Why did you take this approach? Because she'll turn it on you. She'll turn it into like a guilt trip. It's like, why are you even bring this up? Don't you know I tried to do the best I could with and it's like, no. There is no excuse. There's hitting kids, and then there's doing what the fuck you did. It's like, that was not just hitting kids. That was, laying into us. And we could tell. I could feel it. I still have memories of her smacking me across the face in shopping centers and cracking my jaw in public. All these memories that come back, and I don't have grudges against them now. But I don't know if that's part of forgiveness. Maybe that's forgiveness, just not feeling anger really that much anymore. But when I was in my early 20s to my maybe like nearly late 20s, there was an anger there. It was like severe rage, and I just wanted to avoid these fuckers. I wanted nothing to do with them. I moved out and I wanted nothing to do with them, really. I went down to their house because I used to work on their farm. Because, again, that's what we do, apparently. We're in servitude to these people. It's just utter bullshit. Because, that was part of the whole, you have to be, what is it? Loyal to your family. Family allegiance. But again, like, what was I being loyal to? I used to go down there, but if it was anything extra than working on the farm, I wanted nothing to do with them. It's like, do you want to go up and do this with me? No, not really. I had trouble with that. So much trouble with that. Even now I'm like, I don't even want to hang out with you guys. And I don't want to hang out with them, not because I'm like some entitled fucking kid, but because I know as soon as I set foot in that house, it'll be back into servitude mode. It'll be me running around their ass again. It'll be me. As soon as she turns up, it's like, oh, can you do this for me? It's like, no, you fucker. Every time, you don't want to see me, do you? You don't want to see me. You want me to do jobs for you. That's it. That's all it is. It's the same shit. It's like they didn't have kids, they had servants. It's annoying as shit. That's the thing. That's what they think kids should be. I don't know why they went that way. Kids are meant to be an enjoyable experience. If you're going to have kids, I'm not. An enjoyable experience where you fulfill your biggest wishes and you care for someone and you love them and it's unconditional love and it's all this fabulous stuff and it's wonderful experience and it's fulfilling and these fuckers just manufactured servants. They just pumped them out 4 at a time, It's like they trained us from 5 onwards to run around their ass. And it hasn't stopped. So, I got no real relationship with these fuckers. I can't do it. I see them, like, as a boss, maybe, but, like, not a good boss. Like, we're not getting paid, so what the fuck is this job? Oh, my God, it's crazy. I sound horrible, I know. I sound ungrateful. It's like, but your parents fed you and clothed you. No, they did just enough to stop them going to prison for child abuse. And in some days, I'm surprised DCP didn't get involved because you could hear us screaming from next door. Mum was hitting us that much. I had a friend called Nelson next door. He could hear us screaming. We could hear him screaming, to be honest. His mum was giving it him as well. It was like everyone was fucking screaming at their butt. Everyone was getting their ass kicked. Yeah, no, it's a fucked up experience. And then you're supposed to be loyal to these fuckers. I'm like, dude, no. No. So you learn the value of earning your position. I learned that, at least from that. People in my life have to earn their position. I won't just be taking people at a whim. I don't have any kind of false loyalty. If I'm loyal to someone, if I'm willing to drop shit at the drop of a hat, like for my brother, it's because they've earned that position. My approval is earned. Very much. I don't just do the fake friendly stuff. If I'm smiling at you, it's probably because you've done something really well. So, or we've found some way to, become akin to something, It's like we've bonded on something somehow subconsciously. To be honest, it's usually random shit. Like someone wearing, I don't know, Gumby and Pokey socks or something like that. It's like, I remember Gumby and Pokey, and so it'll be some random shit like that. But do you remember Gumby and Pokey, little plasticine people? Oh my god, that's going back. Pokey was the horse. I had a Gumby. I liked it. One of the few toys I actually did have. But yeah, there's a lot of baggage. I mean, I'm pulling up to my driveway now, so I got to start wrapping this up. What can we do with the baggage? It's there for a reason. It's a lesson. It is a lesson. It's not just a horrible experience that someone fucking did to you. And I've had a lot of fucking horrible experiences people just did to me. It's not just that. Don't just see it for the surface value. It's actually a lesson. This is someone saying, I've got issues. Okay. So I'm going to need boundaries. Okay. This is something you can pick up skills from. It's, you know you're going to overcome it, because inevitably time will pass and all things pass and nothing ever stays the same. So it's going to change. The wind will change. The question is, how do you change it? What do you get out of it? It's also, it's a means to understand people from the outside as well. If you look at them from the perspective that they're trying to show you how to treat them, you can actually understand, or you can try to understand where they're coming from a bit better. If they've got a horrible experience, maybe they're showing you that horrible experience, so maybe you can find a way to bond with them on that. It's like, we've got a dual experience that was horrible. Maybe I can help you understand yours so we can heal a bit easier or faster or together, It's like working cooperative as well. Collaboratively, if you want to go that far. Someone showing you their baggage will also help you work towards new strategies for finding things as well. Like ways of doing things. It's like, it didn't work this many times. What can we do that's different? It's going to be okay. We'll find another way. We'll keep strategizing. The more the merrier. Which is horrible, because it means that there's more people with trauma trying to relate to each other. It's like too many instances of trauma, right? It's like, you gotta release that baggage. As I said this morning, I did a podcast on what is childlike and what is childishness. It's like, if you internalize that stuff, it's just gonna grow rampantly, and eventually you'll just snap and lose your shit. And that's what happened to me. I don't know if I did it consciously or subconsciously. I think it was subconsciously I snapped a bit, because to be honest, I felt it go. But I just lost the plot. Panic attacks. Yeah. Didn't know anything was wrong. Everything that was shit was just deemed normal. The baggage was normal. I still maintain part of the baggage is normal. I've learned from that. Just sitting too long in it, you don't find that it's a horrible experience. So you do tend to, just incorporate it into your day-to-day or these horrible experiences. It's not until you start actually questioning what it is and where it's coming from and what other people have actually experienced in these similar circumstances that you start thinking, okay, maybe this isn't the right thing to do things, or maybe this experience isn't normal. Then you can actually address how to fix the fucking problem, because inevitably you will walk out with baggage and trauma. And, generally you need to find a way to deal with that as an adult and not take it out on the next generation. That's part of the breaking intergenerational curses. Because I know that, for example, my grandma was trapped in circumstances she didn't like. She took it out on her kids. That's my mum's mum. My mum's been the the benefactor, should I say that? Recipient of that behavior, and so she took it out on us. So that's 2 generations at least. Now I'm wondering if my grandma has had the same circumstances from her mum. So how far has this abuse occurred and been normalized? It's just the violence. It's like, I'm wondering, can we stop it with us? It's release the baggage, dude. Don't pass it on. We don't want to pass it on. That's not a legacy that we want to pass on. That's horrible. It's just nasty. So I can only offer you advice is try to find a way to release it. You don't want to hold on to it for your sake. It's going to make you sick. Okay? It will make you physically sick. It will make you mentally sick, emotionally sick. And you'll end up, just like I did, in emergency or in triage in a psych place. It wasn't a psych ward. It was a psych place. I maintain there's a difference. There are people in worse circumstances that need the actual psych ward over me, so I'm not going to take it that far. Definitely go and get some help if you need to, if you're not feeling that you're coping. It still starts with the brain, and it emanates out into your body. So if you can't get your mental shit together, you're not going to be able to keep your physical health. So, it starts with the brain. Release your baggage as soon as you can. Get it done. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, like you should force it or race it. It should be done holistically and naturally. Anything that's forced generally fucks up, right? So you need to find a way to release it, calm it down if you can. I know I've got a few techniques that I'm doing at the moment, as I said, going to the gym and stuff like that. I'm thinking about meditation, but I don't know if I can because I haven't got the attention span for it. But yeah, it's not healthy to hold on to that shit. Okay, all right. I'm going to have to leave it there because I've got to go and eat something. I'm going to do 2 more podcasts tomorrow, so 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. I'm trying to catch up to my 5 quota. I'm hoping you have a great Wednesday for the rest of the day. I'm going to gym myself. And I've just taken up my stretching after my weights as well, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I didn't realize I was still flexible, so yay. All right, and I'll leave it there, guys. I'll chat to you later, okay? Bye.
Music, what you really hear when you hear melody is the interval between one tone and another. Steps, as it were, on the scale. It's the interval. So in the same way, in the intervals between this year's leaves, last year's leaves, this